2019, I stood exactly at this spot on the stage, and I had an anxiety attack while I was preaching. Before that moment, I always thought when people talked about anxiety attacks, I always thought, oh, that's cute. That's what like Gen Z says when they had a bad day. The next 8 months, before, during, and after teaching, I would have an anxiety attack, throat would close up. There's a little office, in the room where I am right now at this campus, there's an office with a window that faces right out here along that back wall. I sat in that office as the service was starting and threw up into a trash can before I would preach every single time for 8 months. My predecessor, his name is Pastor Steve Stroop, pastored this church for 40 years. He sat next to me, and for those 8 months, he had a backup sermon right next to him. So that if I got to a spot where my throat closed up and I started thinking I was gonna vomit and not be able to do it or pass out, I could look at him and tap him in and he would preach that sermon. It got so bad that I got to the point where I thought, man, maybe honestly, God's closing a door and I'll never preach again. And so I was like, Pastor Steve was there, and I was like, if I ever got to tap him in, that's probably gonna be the moment where I was like, okay. And then I had other friends of large churches like, hey man, if you don't feel like you can keep preaching, come be an executive pastor at my church, I'll match your salary. And now I'm like, get thee behind me, Satan. But that's what in the moment I was like, man, maybe. So there came one time only, where the little pre-roll video starts. And it's like, the word of God is powerful, all that stuff, right before preaching. And my throat started closing up, and I thought, this is it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. And I looked at Pastor Steve, and I said, I don't got it today. And he looked right back at me, and he said, you're up. And then he said this, the people need what God has given you today. And when he said that, something in me just went, maybe they do. And I stumbled my way up those steps, and I sat on a stool, and I read a 22-minute sermon that day. Some of you are like, would you please do that again? That'd be amazing. Some of you right now, you have fallen down so many times and you're weary and tired and you're thinking about giving up. You look me right in the eyes right now, listen. The people need what God has given you. God put you on this planet, and he put the Spirit of the living God inside of you to minister to the people of God. And when you go forward for the purposes of God, to the people of God, in the power of the Spirit of God, something eternal happens. Elevate your vision. Elevate your vision for your life, what God might do. He might use you to transform people from one degree of glory to the next. And when you connect what God has put in you with the people of God and purposes of God, there is a joy, a life, a purpose that floods into you, changes everything.